Joseph Stalin's early life was far from privileged. Born Ioseb Besarionis Jughashvili in 1878 in Gori, Georgia. His father, a cobbler, was an alcoholic who often beat him. His mother, a devout Orthodox Christian, worked as a laundress. Despite these hardships, Stalin showed academic promise. He earned a scholarship to attend the Tbilisi Theological Seminary in 1894. It was during this time that he became exposed to revolutionary ideas. Stalin joined secret student groups discussing forbidden literature. The writings of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin resonated with him. In 1899, he was expelled for his revolutionary activities. This marked a turning point, pushing him into revolutionary politics. These years shaped his worldview, leading him to power in the Soviet Union. As the 20th century dawned, Russia was a nation in turmoil. The Tsarist regime, increasingly autocratic and out of touch with the needs of its people, faced growing discontent. The Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905 exposed the weaknesses of the Tsarist army and fueled popular unrest. Amidst this revolutionary fervor, Stalin found his calling. He joined the Bolsheviks, a radical faction of the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party led by Vladimir Lenin. Stalin, with his unwavering commitment and organizational skills, quickly rose through the ranks. He became a key figure in the Bolshevik underground, organizing strikes, robbing banks to finance the party's activities, and narrowly escaping arrest on multiple occasions. His ruthlessness and unwavering loyalty to Lenin did not go unnoticed. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 further destabilized the already fragile Russian Empire. By 1917, Russia was on the brink of collapse, paving the way for the Bolsheviks to seize power in the October Revolution. The success of the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 ushered in a new era for Russia. The Tsarist regime was overthrown, and the world's first socialist state was established. In the ensuing chaos and power struggles, Joseph Stalin's cunning and ruthlessness propelled him to the forefront of the new Soviet order. He was appointed to key positions within the Communist Party, steadily accumulating influence and control. Notably, his appointment as General Secretary in 1922, a seemingly bureaucratic role, proved pivotal. This position gave him control over party appointments and promotions, allowing him to build a loyal network of supporters. Stalin used this power to his advantage, strategically placing allies in key positions and sidelining potential rivals. Following Lenin's death in 1924, a power vacuum emerged at the helm of the Soviet Union. Through a combination of political maneuvering, propaganda, and ruthless elimination of opposition, he emerged as the undisputed leader of the Soviet Union by the end of the 1920s. With his grip on power firmly established, Stalin embarked on a radical transformation of Soviet society and economy. Central to his vision was rapid industrialization, aimed at transforming the largely agrarian Soviet Union into a modern industrial powerhouse. In 1928, Stalin launched the first of his 5-year plans, a series of centralized economic programs that set ambitious targets for industrial growth. Factories and industrial centers sprang up across the country, transforming the landscape and drawing millions of peasants from the countryside to work in the burgeoning industrial sector. The human cost of this forced industrialization was immense. Workers were subjected to grueling conditions, long hours, and unrealistic production quotas. Despite the hardships, the 5-year plans achieved significant successes. The Soviet Union underwent a remarkable industrial transformation, laying the foundation for its emergence as a major military power and a competitor on the world stage. Parallel to his drive for industrialization, Stalin implemented a radical restructuring of Soviet agriculture known as collectivization. This policy aimed to abolish private land ownership and consolidate individual peasant farms into large, state-controlled collective farms, or kolkhozes. The goal was to increase agricultural productivity, provide food for the growing industrial workforce, and eliminate the class of independent farmers. Collectivization proved to be one of the most brutal and disruptive policies of Stalin's rule. Millions of peasants were forced off their land and into collective farms. Those who resisted faced dire consequences, including deportation, imprisonment, or execution. The forced collectivization led to widespread chaos in the countryside. Experienced farmers were often killed or deported, leaving inexperienced workers to manage the collectivized farms. The result was a sharp decline in agricultural output, leading to widespread famine, particularly in Ukraine, which became known as the Holodomor. Despite its devastating human cost, collectivization achieved its primary objective of bringing Soviet agriculture under state control. By the mid-1930s, Stalin's paranoia and lust for power reached its zenith, culminating in the Great Terror. From 1936 to 1938, mass arrests, show trials, and executions decimated the ranks of the Communist Party and Soviet society. Stalin unleashed the NKVD, the Soviet secret police, on the population. Millions were arrested on charges of espionage and sabotage. Show trials were staged to extract forced confessions and eliminate threats to Stalin's authority. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 presented the Soviet Union with its greatest challenge yet. Initially allied with Nazi Germany through the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Stalin found himself caught off guard by Hitler's surprise invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941. Despite suffering initial setbacks and heavy losses, the Soviet people rallied under Stalin's leadership. The Red Army, though initially ill-prepared for the German onslaught, fought with fierce determination. As the war progressed, the Soviet Union received crucial material aid from its Western allies, particularly the United States. This aid, combined with the relentless fighting spirit of the Soviet people and the Red Army's growing military prowess, turned the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. From the Battle of Stalingrad to the eventual capture of Berlin in 1945, the Soviet Union played a pivotal role in defeating Nazi Germany. The victory came at an astronomical cost, with millions of Soviet soldiers and civilians perishing during the war. The aftermath of World War II saw the Soviet Union emerge as a global superpower, its military might and international prestige greatly enhanced by its victory over Nazi Germany. Stalin, hailed as the architect of this victory, further consolidated his power, extending Soviet influence across Eastern Europe and solidifying his control over the Soviet bloc. The war-ravaged Soviet Union faced the daunting task of rebuilding its shattered economy and infrastructure. Stalin's post-war policies focused on reconstruction, reasserting strict political control, and consolidating Soviet dominance in Eastern Europe. The expansion of Soviet influence, coupled with ideological differences and mutual distrust, led to the emergence of the Cold War. The Cold War, characterized by an arms race, proxy wars, and ideological conflict, would define international relations for the next 4 decades. Stalin's final years were marked by increasing paranoia and repression, exemplified by the Doctors' Plot, a fabricated conspiracy accusing Jewish doctors of plotting to assassinate Soviet leaders. Joseph Stalin's death in 1953 marked the end of an era. His rule, spanning nearly 3 decades, left an indelible mark on the Soviet Union and the world. Stalin's legacy remains deeply controversial, a complex tapestry of remarkable achievements and unspeakable atrocities. On the one hand, he transformed the Soviet Union from a backward agrarian society into a major industrial and military power. He led the country to victory in World War II, defeating Nazi Germany and playing a pivotal role in shaping the post-war world order. On the other hand, Stalin's rule was characterized by unparalleled brutality and repression. His policies of forced collectivization, the Great Terror, and the Gulag system resulted in the deaths of millions of Soviet citizens. Stalin's legacy continues to be debated by historians and scholars. Some argue that his ruthless methods were necessary to achieve his goals, while others contend that his crimes against humanity far outweigh any achievements. Joseph Stalin's impact on history is undeniable. His rule, a complex blend of industrial progress, military triumph, and unparalleled brutality, continues to fascinate and horrify in equal measure. Understanding Stalin and his legacy is essential for comprehending the complexities of 20th century history and the enduring legacy of the Soviet experiment. Stalin's policies left an indelible mark on the Soviet Union, shaping its political, social, and economic landscape for decades to come. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 can be seen, in part, as a consequence of the unsustainable nature of the system Stalin created. The legacy of Stalinism, with its emphasis on state control, suppression of dissent, and disregard for human rights, continues to cast a long shadow over the former Soviet republics. Stalin's rule serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, the seductive allure of ideology, and the human capacity for both great good and unspeakable evil.